Lesson 14, the slope of a non-vertical line. The opening exercise is to examine each pair of graphs and answer the questions that follow. We will do the first one together. Which graph is steeper? It looks like graph B is steeper. It says write directions that explain how to move from one point on the graph to the other for each of graph A and graph B. Well, graph A move 2 units up and 3 units right. So we would move 2 units up and 3 units to the right, and we would still be on the line from one point to another. And for graph B, we would move 4 units up and 3 units right. So we would move 4 units up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 right, 1, 2, 3. So we would still be on those points right there. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Okay, everybody see that? Okay. Question C says, write the directions from part B as ratios and then compare the ratios. How does this relate to which graph was steeper in part A? Well, we have 2/3 is less than 4/3. So graph B was steeper. Sorry, let me get my eraser. And had the greater ratio. Okay. Next, graph A. Let me move this up just a little bit so we can see it. Graph A. It says which graph is steeper? It looks like graph A is steeper. Okay. Here for graph A, we are going to move up 1.5 units and right 1 unit. Okay. Notice our numbers, guys. Notice our numbers. So we're going to move up and then move over. Okay, sorry, I kind of moved too far there. A little hard for me to see while I'm taping. Okay, and here, guys, make sure that you are very careful. So be careful. of the scale. Okay, so be careful of that scale. Okay, we moved up 1.5. Okay, so graph B, okay, so graph B, okay, move that here so you can see that, graph B, okay. We're going to move up 3 units. And right 6 units. So here we are going to move up 3 units and to the right 6 units. Okay. So here it says, write the directions from part B as ratios and then compare the ratios. How does this relate to which graph was steeper in part A? So we have 1.5 over 1, and that's greater than 1/2. So graph A was steeper and had the greater ratio. Okay. So next, if we look at these two graphs, okay, they look about the same steepness. Now, I'm going to write this here for graph A. We're going to move up 4 units. And right 4 units. So here we're going to move up 4 units and over 4 units. Okay. For graph B, we are going to move up 3 units and right 3 units. Okay. Now write the directions from part B as ratios and then compare the ratios. And how does this ratio to what, how does this relate to which graph was steeper in part A? Well, 4 over 4 equals 3 over 3. The graphs have equal ratios which may explain why the look or why they look, sorry, the same steepness. Okay, next. When points on a coordinate grid lie on a line, there we go. The slope or steepness of that line is found by using the ratio rise over run, or change in y, or change in y over the change in x. It says, what is the slope of this non-vertical line? Well, here we come up 4, we go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we are going up 4. And we are going over 1. So our rise over our run equals up 4, right 1, which equals 4 over 1, which equals 4. Okay? Our next one is, what is the slope of the non-vertical line? And I'm sorry about the glare, guys, of this non-vertical line. Well, here, what we're going to do is we're going to go up 3, and over that 1. Okay? And here we have rise over run, which means up 3 to the right 1, 3 over 1, which equals 3. Okay? Now it says, which of the lines in exercises 1 and 2 is steeper? Compare the slopes of each of the lines. Is there a relationship between the steepness and the slope? The graph in number 1 seems steeper. The slopes, I can't even write today. It's too cold outside. The slopes are 4 and 3. It seems like the greater the slope, the steeper the line. Okay. Next, almost done. what is the slope of this non-vertical line? Here we are going to go down 1 and to the right 1. So rise, overrun, which means we're going to go down 1 to the right 1, which means it's negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1. Okay? Let's see if this changes a little bit. Move it just to change the glare. I don't understand where this glare is coming from, guys. Just a little bit. All right, next. What is the slope of this non-vertical line? Well, here we are going to go down 4 and to the right 1. So rise, overrun is down 4, the right 1 is negative 4 over 1 is negative 4. Okay. Now here it says, which of the lines in exercises 4 and 5 is steeper? Compare the slopes of each of the lines. Is there a relationship? Graph number 2, but negative 1 is greater than negative 4. Okay. So what that means is for negative numbers, the larger the number, the steeper the line. In other words, we have to compare the absolute values of the slopes to determine which is steeper, and that's extremely important. Okay? All right. Our last page of notes. I believe. Yep, the last page of notes says, let's take another look at one of the proportional relationships that we graphed in lesson 11. Here's the problem and the work that we did. Okay, here's the work that we did. Okay. Now, if we assume that the points that we plot on the coordinate plane make a line and the origin of the graph is point P, then we have this graph here. Okay? So for here, it says, what is the slope of the line? Well, our rise over our run means we go up. If we, each time that we have this, we go up and we go over 14. Because here's how we can check this. From here to here, we add 14. 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 From here to here, we add 1. From here to here, we add 1. From here to here, we add 1. Here to here, we add 1. So in other words, remember the change in y over the change in x. So 14, so up 14, to the right 1, which equals 14 over 1, which equals 14. So we go from 0 to 14 is 0 units, from 0 to 14 is 14 units. From 0 to 1 is 1 unit. This is what is the unit rate of mowing the lawn? And this is 1 unit, sorry. So it says, so the unit rate, remember, and for here, slope with a denominator. Denominator of 1. So 14 over 1 means Pauline her unit rate is 14 square feet. For 1 minute. So it says when we graph proportional relationship, the unit rate is interpreted as the slope of the graph of the line, which is why the slope is referred to as the rate of change. Okay, so it's another way of knowing. Okay, it's another thing that we have to add on to for that rate of change and for that constant of proportionality, and so on. And this ends our lesson.